Hey guys, it's Elizabeth WMT Forever, and I am coming at you with a new video. If we're being completely honest, I've filmed like 100 videos since I last uploaded YouTube, and they just weren't that great, and I was feeling really down on myself, and I just didn't want to be out there in the world when I was feeling like so bad about myself. So I just never posted them, and in fact I deleted a lot of the videos and stuff. But that's besides the point. So now that I'm feeling more like myself, and now that I'm more established in my career, my first year as a teacher, what better video to make than I signed up to teach in the middle of a pandemic. So, what has my first year of teaching looked like? Well, I got hired in my district in May. I did an orientation, which was 2 days in July. And then in August, when the pandemic, COVID-19, was still like super bad everywhere, they decided to postpone opening school, which would open in August. Normally August 20th would have been my first day with students, and they decided against that as a district here in Ohio. And so they opened up a virtual academy so that there would be an all online, all year option for teachers. So I was originally hired back in May to this building that I'm in now as a 5th, 6th ELA teacher. Since then, I've held 4 different positions. So in August, I got asked if I'd like to do a different position. I had to go through the bidding in our union. I bid on a 5th grade all virtual position. They ended up bumping me out of that as well. So then I ended up as a 6th through 8th science teacher, and they decided to departmentalize a little bit more because there was such a large interest in a large number of students that came to the all virtual option. No matter what happens, they're not going back to the school building. So then I ended up in my final position as a 6th grade science teacher. So it has been awesome so far being a 6th grade science teacher online, and it's very different from what I thought my teaching career would look like the first year, just because I had planned on being an English teacher my first year of teaching. Yes, I do prefer science, but I think I'm better at teaching English just because my struggles in English, I know little tips and tricks that helped me as a learner. So it really depends on who you ask what they think I do better, but I think I do better in English, even though I have more passion for science. So it is now the beginning of 3rd quarter. So I've had 2 quarters with my kiddos, and I have had an extreme fluctuation of kids in and out of virtual academy, just because in our district they're really trying to get it to be safe to open up, because the families in our district really need it to open up. So kids' parents are going in between our hybrid option. So if we were to open the schools back up, they would do half online, half in person. And our all online option, which is what I am doing this year, And so parents are trying to switch back and forth when they think that the school is going to open. They want to go back to the hybrid option so that they need less childcare and their kids can go to school. But the fact of the matter is that our schools have only opened for a couple of weeks in that hybrid model, and it only got up to 5th grade because we did a staggered start, so only up to the 5th graders were back before we had to close back down for the holidays. So I don't know if our district is going to go back to school in person, so that kind of makes me excited that I was lucky and fortunate enough to get bumped out of my initial position where I would have had to have in-person and online plans ready at all times, into an all-online position. So that I kind of see the blessing in disguise being bumped around a lot. That being said, now that I have been established, I have really got to play around with Google Classroom and all of that, and I've really enjoyed being an online teacher to an extent. I miss being able to see my kids and get all these drawings that they're making for me, that they're just taking pictures of with their little Chromebooks, and I miss being able to see their face when they're upset and read their emotions. Like, I'm getting pretty good at reading my kids even online, and I have the best group of kids this year that I could ever ask for. Even with the behavior problems that we do have, they're not as extreme as I was expecting being in the district that I am, and that's mainly because I'm online. So it's kind of like a gentle shove into teaching for me. I've had an intern consultant in my district, which is a person who helps you understand all your requirements, when and where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do. They present your case in front of the board to see if you get rehired the next year. They're just very helpful, and they help you obtain like the resources that you need. Like, our district has a centralized location where they keep a lot of lab supplies that aren't building specific. So if I want to do something specific in science and I need something else, I have to go to the district about it and see if I can do it. And thankfully that has been awesome. So another thing about teaching in the pandemic that was unexpected was I got to work from home for 2 months when my own son's school, Nikolai, closed down for the holidays so that they could reduce the spread of COVID. Thankfully, my little Nikolai got to go back in person last week because he really needed to see his peers. He needed his therapies, and he needed that one-on-one with his teachers because of his extenuating needs. Being on the autism spectrum, it's really, really hard to get a lot of learning gains while at home with people who didn't really know how to use technology, because I still had to work, so I had to have our babysitters working in school. And yes, they know how to log into a computer and all that stuff, but if anything were to go wrong, they would have needed assistance, and it would have been stressful for not only them, but Nikolai, as well as they're also watching my little daughter who's 1 and needs a lot of attention. So that was a really awesome blessing in disguise about being a virtual teacher, is I ended up getting to work from my home for a while. So I decided for me personally to come back to the building for the majority of the time, just because it's quiet, it's out of the way. And now that my son's back in his school, it's less strenuous on the babysitters, so they don't need any assistance throughout the day. And if I'm here, I'm more productive and I feel more happy and more like a teacher, and that just helps my mental state. No, I have not had a COVID, but I have had a COVID test, and now I have a cold because winter in the Midwest. So I'm really like swollen, as you can see, and my voice is all messed up. But I'm just happy with where my life has gone and what I'm doing. And I am very thankful that this year has been completely different than I expected my first year of teaching to be, because it's been so much more rewarding. And I know this is probably like the honeymoon phase, and if I were already a teacher when I was supposed to have graduated, this would have been like shocking and hard to do and hard to adapt to. But I think it was beneficial that this was my first year teaching. I also think it was very beneficial to me to finish up my teaching degree in the midst of the pandemic, because all the schools in our area closed down in March. So I had from March to May as a student teacher trying to navigate and learn like what kind of expectations would I be able to have for my students and what assessments would look like in collaboration. And it's definitely been interesting trying to figure that out. And I've always loved the idea of a flipped classroom, and I'm getting to see it work wonders for my kiddos because they have district provided internet for the majority of them, and they have access to the technology now. So to continue like a flipped model, because our district does have Chromebooks now and they're not going to exactly go returning them, I'm going to think very seriously about doing downloaded videos. So having the kids download videos of flipped lessons while they're here at school next year and watch them at home, and then come to school for those flipped instruction lessons and the activities that we'll do together. And I think that's going to be something I work forward to. So as you guys may have known, I was in a master's program, and it was just too much for my first year of teaching to be learning how to be a teacher for real and to be in the master's program. So I took a pause, but I am starting to feel more confident and more comfortable. So I am actually looking back into getting into a master's program, but I don't know if I'm going to stick with the university that I was at. I think I might change universities just because it would be a better fit for me. And the university that I'm thinking about changing to is more realistic with their expectations, and they're more open. So hopefully I can get that rolling and get a master's shoved out of the way in this next year, and get rid of this stuffy nose within the next couple of days. Hopefully I will continue to be motivated and have some more videos for you guys soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. The more the merrier.